Okay, today we're talking a little bit about rotation and what that actually means. Many years ago, I got a lesson from an incredible golf coach called Bob Toski, who still today is one of my mentors and just an amazing person and had an incredible career back in the 50s. And Bob used to say he would ask you a question like, well, what are you feeling? And I'd say, well, I feel stuck. And he's like, okay, explain that to me. And then he would get out a dictionary and he would look up the word stuck and he would recite what that meant. And then he would ask me, is that what you meant? And usually I would say no. And he'd be like, well, why did you say it? So the reason I'm saying this is because the word rotation to many of us means this way, rotate. I need to rotate. In the golf swing, we think of it as rotation. And I think in many ways, for many of us, especially those that come over the top or may slice the golf ball, this is messing you up. So I brought a little hula hoop out to kind of show you what rotation is in the golf swing. So remember, when we set up to a golf ball, we have a little bit of hinge. So most of the time, if the club's out in front of me and I'm going to put it on the ground, to get it to the ground, I'm going to hip hinge. I'm going to tilt from my hips to lower the club to the ground. So I'm on an angle or an inclined plane. Hogan used to talk about the inclined glass plane of the golf swing. Well, remember, whenever I tilt over, I'm on a plane. If I took this hula hoop and just simply put it around my body and I stood up tall and rotated, this would be a flat plane. But to a lot of us, this is what rotation is. What we forget is that we're on a tilted plane. And whenever I'm tilted over, rotation is this way and it's this way, right? It's this way and it's this way. So you have to remember this for those of you who are coming over the top. Because a lot of you that come over the top, what happens is as you go back, you actually rotate more this way, right? And that causes the shaft to come out over the top. Instead of, if I rotate up this side, I need to rotate back down this way, where my lead shoulder is going more up in the air. So I'm going to put this down for a second, and I'm explaining this again. So when I'm standing tall like so, I want to rotate around kind of the axis of my spine. Now, if you look here, I've rotated into my hip, and I'm on a tilted plane. What I want from here is to shift a little bit, to move back into my lead side, and then I want to rotate around. This is why at TPI, we look at your ability to separate your lower body from your upper body. So a simple test, if I stand here, I should be able to keep my shoulders perfectly still and separate my lower body from my upper body. If you do this and you find yourself doing this and you're kind of stuck together, that's part of the problem. When someone asks you to rotate, you rotate everything together. And from a down the line view, that's going to cause the club to get steep or over the top. So what I want you specifically to think about is I'm on a tilted plane. I want to rotate to the top of my backswing. And now I want the lower body to have a head start. And to do that, just put your knee back to where it came from. Put your knee back to where it came from. And what you'll find is the club will actually shallow on the right plane. And now I can go ahead and hit the golf ball. So this is why it's important, because what most people don't realize from the down the line view is this, my chest is open. But for you, it doesn't look that way because my shoulders are in the way. If I simply take my arm and put it behind my body and put this one behind my body, you can notice my chest is wide open. It's my shoulders that coming back this way looks like my shoulders are square at impact. We know from looking at 3D data that that's not correct. And a lot of times we hear the term shoulder rotation. You need more shoulder rotation. These are your shoulders rotating. In the golf swing, you need torso rotation, rib cage rotation, right? And now I need a little bit of shift, that separation. And then I want to feel like my lead arm is working more, or my lead shoulder is working more upwards. And that keeps me in the right tilts. That will actually stop you from coming over the top, and it'll help you to hit the golf ball more on your intended starting line and stop that dreaded slice. So remember, understand rotation on a tilted plane, and you could actually be on your way to fixing that dreaded over the top or that slice that you have. You've got to be able to take yourself to the top of your backswing, a little bit of shift, and then rotate through to the finish on a slightly tilted plane, the same plane that you started on a dress. So hopefully this helps you understand a little bit more about rotation and helps stop your over the top or your slice.